TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, less than 2 weeks remain until the declared target date of July 1st, which Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had declaratively scheduled for asserting Jerusalem's sovereignty over approximately 33% of the West Bank. Arab Gulf states are stepping up efforts to pressure Washington and Jerusalem to abandon Israeli plans for annexation. The Israeli defense establishment is actively preparing for a number of viable scenarios that may unfold in the near future, which may challenge Jerusalem's peace and security. With less than 2 weeks remaining until the declared target date of July 1st, which Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had declaratively scheduled for asserting Jerusalem's sovereignty over approximately 33% of disputed territories, which are situated on the west bank of the Jordan River, Arab Gulf states are seemingly ratcheting up pressure on both the United States and Israel to forego any unilateral steps for annexation. Arab officials from several Gulf states have reportedly warned their White House counterparts that offering a green light for Israeli annexation of lands the Palestinians demand for a future state will severely damage the American administration's efforts to enlist the support of the Arab world for President Donald Trump's initiative to bring an end to the decades-old Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Furthermore, the officials claim that Israeli annexation would also inevitably damage Arab relations with the United States and separately would put an end to the apparent attempts by moderate Arab states to bring about an overt rapprochement with the Jewish state. Meanwhile, United Arab Emirates State Minister and Ambassador to the United States Yusuf Al-Utaiba appealed to the Israeli leadership to refrain from annexation, as according to him, it will definitely and immediately reverse all of the Israeli aspirations for improved security, economic, and cultural ties with the Arab world, and the United Arab Emirates in particular. In an exclusive opinion editorial published on the Israeli Yediot Ahronot Daily, the UAE diplomat further asserted that annexation would also toughen Arab views on Israel at a time when the UAE initiatives have opened up opportunities for cultural exchanges and a broader Arab understanding of Israel. He went on to reveal a long list of efforts by the UAE across the Arab world to bolster prospects for overt Israeli-Arab normalization and stressed the common interests of Jerusalem and Abu Dhabi, which could be an open gateway connecting Israel to the region and to the world at large. The UAE State Minister and Ambassador Utaiba concluded his published op-ed by writing, quote, "In the United Arab Emirates and in a large part of the Arab world, we would like to believe that Israel is an opportunity, not an enemy. We face too many common dangers and see the huge potential for warmer ties. That is why a decision by Israel to annex will be an unmistakable signal as to whether it views things the same way." In related news, a new survey found that 51% of the Israeli public supports asserting Jerusalem's sovereignty over the Jewish settlements in the West Bank, namely the biblical districts of Judea and Samaria. The poll, which was conducted among 503 Israelis aged 18 and over, found that while 25% of respondents oppose Israeli annexation, a staggering 24% of Israeli society does not know whether they oppose or support asserting Jerusalem's sovereignty over the disputed territories in question. In light of the latter, the poll cited that among only those with a firm opinion, a majority of 67% support Jerusalem's bid for annexation, in contrast to merely 33% who voiced their vehement opposition. Furthermore, 32% of respondents voiced concern over violent consequences to Israeli annexation, in contrast to 28% that do not fear a potential wave of violence, the same number as respondents that are only somewhat concerned. It is necessary to mention that the domestic Israeli radio station 103 FM commissioned the public opinion poll that was conducted by Ma'agal Mochot, which is a leading Israeli polling institution. In other yet related news, the Israeli defense establishment is actively preparing for a number of viable scenarios that may unfold in the aftermath of Israeli annexation. A senior Israeli defense official told TV7 that while the IDF had received instructions to prepare for potential violent consequences of annexation, which led to a series of activities on the organizational level, once an actual decision is made, several weeks will be required to draft actual plans, which include the collection of relevant intelligence and the coordination of all defensive measures on the ground ahead of implementation. The official, who spoke to TV7 on condition of anonymity, highlighted the fact that neither the Israeli security agency Shin Bet nor the IDF received any information vis-à-vis Jerusalem's plans for annexation. Therefore, she assessed that Jerusalem's political echelon is currently assessing the relevant challenges to its aspired goal, while simultaneously evaluating the course of action in full coordination with the American administration. That is why the Israeli defense official said that the prospects of Israeli annexation on the so-called target date of July 1st does not mark necessarily the implementation of asserting Israeli law over Judea and Samaria, but rather the date for beginning all relevant preparations for the highly contentious move. Turning now to Jerusalem, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu once again praised the United States and its leadership for standing on the side of truth and justice in relation to Washington's decision to sanction the International Criminal Court in The Hague for its decision to investigate the United States military for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in Afghanistan, alongside with similar allegations against the Jewish state in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Speaking at the weekly cabinet meeting in the Israeli capital, Netanyahu once again reiterated the absurdity of the court's accusations with regard to the Jewish presence in their ancestral homeland.
בית הדין בהאג הוא גוף פוליטי ומוטה שמתעמר בישראל, בארצות הברית ודמוקרטיות אחרות שמכבדות זכויות אדם, בשעה שהוא מתעלם ממדינות שמפירות בסיטונות את זכויות האדם, בראשן כמובן משטר הטרור באיראן. בית הדין ממציא האשמות אבסורדיות נגד מדינת ישראל, כולל הטענה השערורייתית שהימצאותם של יהודים בלב המולדת שלנו מהווה פשע מלחמה. זה נוגד את השכל הישר, זה נוגד את המשפט הבינלאומי מאז ועידת סן רמו לפני 100 שנים, וזה נוגד את הצדק. אני שב ומודה לנשיא טראמפ ולממשל האמריקני על ההתייצבות שלהם לצד האמת והצדק.
Among other topics of discussion at the weekly cabinet meeting, practical steps were deliberated with regard to the establishment of the Trump Heights community, which is planned to be erected on the Golan Heights region as a sign of appreciation for the American president's decision to recognize Israel's sovereignty over the internationally disputed territory.
נתחיל היום צעדים מעשיים להעלות את היישוב רמת טראמפ ברמת הגולן, שעל הריבונות שלה בידי ישראל הכיר הנשיא טראמפ.
Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7's Global Prayer Initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to pray for the salvation and peace of Suriname, alongside our ongoing prayers and peace for Jerusalem, the peace and salvation of Israel, as well as for all those who are impacted by the corona contagion worldwide. I would like to also seize this opportunity to thank all of you that support our productions on a daily basis here in Jerusalem. I'm Jonathan Hessen. Have an Erev Tov and Shavua Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.